Друзья, салют. Закончился Moscow Open, закатное солнце, вечерние, почти летние лыжники прекрасные. И я вот тут сидел, думал и понимаю, что иногда надо выходить из своей зоны комфорта. И вот как раз тот выпуск, который вы сейчас будете смотреть, для меня это выход из зоны комфорта. Потому что он будет полностью на английском, с русскоязычными субтитрами, конечно, на всякий случай, если кому-то они будут нужны. Подкаст получился максимально увлекательным, захватывающим. И самое главное, что гость запретил вырезать мне что-либо из сказанного им. Поэтому выпуск получился очень и очень большим. Я решил поделить его на две части, так что то, что вы сейчас смотрите, это только первая часть. Я надеюсь, что вы кайфанете так же сильно, как кайфанул с этого подкаста я и вообще с этого разговора целиком. And for all my English-speaking newcomers, you're welcome, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to Serbian 3X3 YouTube channel. You might wonder why I speak English, because normally I speak Russian and all my content is Russian. But this time, this podcast will be international, and everybody knows that international language of basketball, if we talk about the papers, the bylaws, the tactics and everything else, it's in English. But if we talk about emotions, most of the Europe use the Serbian words for expressing their emotions, like ajde, hvala, brate, and everything else. So today's guest, he's Serbian. He is the head coach of Serbian 3X3 team. Welcome, Milan Исаков.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. How's going?
It's doing pretty well, hopefully. In these times, it's not modest to say anything else. So for me personally, it's going pretty well.
Yeah, it's quiet, it's warm outside, so what else do you need?
Exactly.
Tell me, how's the last 3-4 months for you going? I mean, the Russian championship, all the clinics, and what you actually do here on the Russian territory for the last month.
Oh, so we start from the hardest question. Okay. Well, I actually enjoyed since my last this kind of engagement was in China before Olympic Games, and they're very strange for cooperation. They have completely different mindsets. I mean, unlike from us European, let's call it like this. And it was very hard for me there. And this big change coming here, where people actually know what they're doing and everyone is in charge for their part of job and they're doing it, on a very good level. I actually have to say I'm enjoying so far. As for my job, we are still trying to find the best way to help Russian teams. So we tried doing the intensives. I went to Kazan to work a little bit with ЭТАП. I was supposed to go to Perm to work with Bionord before the finals, but they had the long season for this junior team in VTB Junior League, so they were like really tired and some of them injured. So I like these seminars also because I enjoy sharing I cannot say knowledge, sharing my point of view about the game, and it's interesting, very very alive community here. So I'm enjoying so far.
So for the last years, you work also as a consul. You mean, as you mentioned, in China. But how it's happened? How it happened? You went to China to.
I'll try to make the long story short. As for how it happened, in summer of 2018, when Team Liman won a couple of challengers in China, since there were no masters before June, I think, in this season.
It was some crazy schedule for the Asian challengers.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
five or six.
Like it started in April, beginning of April, and there was like maybe 5 or 6. I don't remember correctly.
And you left to China to live there, so not to travel from Europe.
No, we traveled.
You traveled.
At this moment, we traveled, and after these challengers, we had some good results. I don't remember exactly what happened, but we were playing good. And in summer, let's say, I think in June 2018, I got an email from a guy named Oscar San.
He's also a referee. Yeah,
he's an international referee in China, and he's like, hello, I'm writing to you in front of Chinese Basketball Association. I'm the guy who speaks best English. This is why I'm writing to you. Our coaches are very interested in how your team plays. We like it, and we would like to make some kind of cooperation. Are you at all interested? And I'm like, because I didn't know the guy, first I was like, this is some spam, you know, someone is making a joke or something like this. Because 3x3 at this moment is like, everyone is amateur. Only Novi Sad was like professional, and all other teams were amateur, completely amateur. And I'm like, okay, this is probably a joke. Let me Google the guy. So I Googled the guy with the name, and nothing comes up. Because in China, you know, it's
different internet.
Different characters, different internet, everything. Like a dark web.
Yeah.
And I go to Google Translate, and I translate his name to Mandarin.
Oh, okay.
And then I Google it.
Oh, you're a smart guy.
And I use Hong Kong Google. Like, I use the VPN for Hong Kong, and I use Google in Hong Kong, and I Google this guy. And then I see he's really like international Chinese referee, 5-on-5, and you can find some info. And I'm like, okay, I will answer him. And then I answer him like, yes, of course. I first talked with the guys, with the players of LIMAN, like, are we at all interested in any kind of this? Well, like, send an email, send a reply. And I text him like, yeah, thank you for kind words. We are probably interested. Let's see what we can do. And we exchanged a couple of emails, and we agreed that in October 2018, they come to Serbia for a month.
For the camp.
Men's national teams of China. And they came, like 30 people, coaching staff and players. They came to Novi Sad in October.
With laptops.
Of course, and cameras and everything. And I really tried, and my guys, my players, to make it as professional as possible. They had like practices with us, practices just for themselves with myself, and I made some lectures. Like, since my history is, my major is strength and conditioning, and I worked in high-level tennis, for example, strength and conditioning, and I kind of know the theory. And I was making very nice, in my point of view, very nice lectures about how I see this game in terms of energy demands, how it should be practiced, that strength endurance is more important than power, for example, or stuff like this. And they were like really shocked and satisfied. So they invited us to play SINA tournament, SINA international tournament.
Yeah, I know. They asked for some international teams, Novi Sad, I think
Exactly.
in Anomo.
Yeah, they all played. We played in Anomo in the finals.
Ulaanbaatar probably, yeah.
Yes. A couple. And they invited us there and said, like, for me and Stefan STOJACIC to stay after the tournament, no matter what happens at the tournament. In the end, we won, but doesn't matter. To stay there in Beijing and, like, spend some time with them, see the federation, have some time with them. Like, we stayed for, I think, 5 days, if I remember correctly. And during these 5 days, we had a meeting in the Basketball Association where they actually proposed some kind of cooperation that I become their coach, in a way. They didn't say what kind of coach, they said
a coach.
The coach, yeah. And we didn't expect this, really. I mean, now when I talk about it, it is going this way, but
it sounds big.
We never expected it, because I also, at this moment, I was working with Team Liman, and I had a job in the first division strength and conditioning coach in soccer also. So I was having like a main job and job in Liman, and I was like, all day was busy, you know. Liman practice this, yeah. And by the way, this job at this moment was probably the best job in Serbia in terms in this field, because this club was it's financed by Hungarian government, and they put a lot of money there, and I was in charge to make the organization of the whole academy for strength and conditioning, and it was perfect. Dream job. They have the money. You say what should be done. They trust you.
Yeah, they gave you everything, and you give it back.
And it's perfect.
What do you have?
And in this moment, when they asked me this, like, okay, what's happening? I'm talking with Stefan, like, what to do. And we had not on paper, but we had a verbal agreement, me and the LIMAN guys, that we will all do our best to try to be a part, or to try to be fully Serbian national team for the Olympic Games, upcoming Olympic Games in 2 years in this moment. And this was a verbal agreement, but for me verbal agreements are more important than the paper ones, because if I say something, this is it, you know, I also for them. And we were talking and looking at each other, and I said, like, but listen, I have a verbal agreement to the Chinese guys. I have a verbal agreement with them. And we said until Olympic Games we want to cooperate and try to be a part of this. And they're like, after 3 seconds, the lady who was a translator, she said, like, but you can all come here. And we're like, where? Like, okay, what do you mean here? Well, you can come to China, like the whole team, and be here, and you coach them and us and help them. And I look at him, he looks at me, I'm like, okay, maybe we need to talk to the other guys. And they're like, yeah, okay, you can call them.
Right now?
No, like, we need time, we need to, okay, they said, like, okay, we will talk these days, you know what we want. They gave us some conditions, which were nice. And in the end, this was December. February 1st, if I remember correctly, we finished all the documentation and came to China and start working there with Liman and with Chinese national teams, and this is the start of the story. I tried to make it short, but I didn't
you
succeed.
did your best. You did your best for sure, because that time I checked the IG. I mean, Stefan and the other guys. I saw you came to China, and as it was to prepare for the Asian part of the World Tour. I mean, the Challengers, the Masters. Okay, that's a smart move. But I didn't know the background of this decision.
What people also don't know is that we never had any money, like as a club. We were amateur up until this season. This season.
2022.
Now we have some sponsor from China. But before, we never had any money.
Tesla Voda? No?
No.
All this
fake Serbian company who tricked us for this.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
So
I know how it works.
It sounded like we do have a sponsor, but we only had like 4 cartoons of water, not cartoons, it's like 4 boxes of water, and
bye-bye.
this is it, like, yeah. But this is another story. Anyway, we never had options of going somewhere to prepare for something. We were practicing on the concrete outside in Serbia, and you know, every time it was, I almost very rarely I traveled with the team, because there was no money. Only if the money that FIBA gives for the travel sometimes is a little more, then I would go with the team and stuff like this. People don't know this, you know, when they say you're #1 team in the world, yes, but we're amateur.
It's only the prize money.
Exactly. Luckily, in Serbia, that prize money was enough for us to live. I mean, luckily we were winning a lot. So of course, but I don't know, even if you were winning a lot and you're living in, I don't know, Switzerland, you cannot live from this.
Yeah, it's not that big. It's not that big.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
For you guys, I've been in Serbia. How many times? 2 times. One for the
not enough.
One for some EuroLeague clinic as a CSKA employee, and second for the Final Four in Belgrade.
Yeah.
It was
2-3 years ago.
Yeah, 2018. We lost everything, and everybody wasn't happy. But I was so impressed of the street ball. I mean, that time street ball culture, because we lived in the hotel on the Dunaj River, somewhere close, and there was a park with 4 or 5 courts. So I played outside every evening. with all the specific rules. So you have to fight for the board. You don't need to
clearing,
clearing with some out of bounds. First 2 games, I was, that's where it came from. I mean, the success of the Serbian 3X3, that's where it came from.
But let me tell you something. This, what you witnessed in 2018, is 5% of what it was when I was a kid. And I'm not so old, I'm 35. When I was a kid, there was not a single, for example, when I leave the building that I was born, not born, I was born in a hospital, of course, but when I leave the building where I was living as a kid, and I turn around in like circle of 500 meters, there is exactly 18 baskets.
18?
18.
Damn.
Like one, it's not 1 square kilometer, it's like, but if you go 500 meters and go in a circle, 18. And believe me, if it's after 3 p.m., you cannot find empty basket to go to
So
shoot.
there is a line on every court. There is a line to play, yeah?
Exactly. In these courts that were considered like, here you play a good games. There you have a lines, for example, I'm not exaggerating, really. It was like this, like 20 teams are waiting. So 2 teams are playing against each other, and there is 20 teams waiting. And you come and you say, who's last? They say, I'm last, like, you know, in the bank or somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, who's last? I'm last. Okay, we're next. And then sometimes when you're like 20th in the line, you can go shoot to that basket or even play there.
Mm-hmm. Just to wait for the
wait
spot.
for like 2-3 hours for the spot here. And it's known, if you lose, you can go home, because there's no way you can get
another
chance to win. And this is actually, in my opinion, where the mentality of really not giving up and really trying to win every little situation in the game came from.
Because you just want to play. You don't want to go home.
Exactly. And it's a matter of pride.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just that you will lose and go home, but in this moment when you lose and you're about to leave the court, there's like 100 men joking
watching
and laughing
you, yeah.
and watching. Yeah, exactly. And for example, for myself, my parents were watching also because my building is there, you know, and they're watching, and my father is watching. So it's and most of the people that play there are actually living somewhere.
So it's kind of
it's a pressure.
Yeah, you're gladiators. It's a coliseum.
Exactly.
Around.
And when I was very young, not very young, but not adult enough to play with the big guys, I just came there, and it was an honor for me to bring them water. Because at that time there was no water to buy in the.
It's just from home or from some.
I go to some bakery.
Mm-hmm.
There was a very good bakery, by the way, and I go there, and we used to buy the Coca-Colas in 1 liter glass. It was a glass bottle of 1 liter, and I go there. I take 3-4 these bottles, and then I put water and bring to them. Just that once per month. When they lack one guy, they will invite me to come to join and to play this one game. But every day I would go there and like wait, you know, like a dog who waits for the food, you know. He will wait forever and just look at you. This is little Milan there, and it was in the whole city of Novi Sad. It was like this.
But that was my. That was my main question. Where did it came from? So you just answered this, because here I can say that we have. When I was a kid, in 2000 zeros, I mean from 2000 to 2010, when I started to play basketball, we had the same system here in Moscow in Rishka. You probably heard that name.
Yeah.
And under the bridge, which is reconstructed and will be opened tomorrow, again after the World Cup. So for us it was the same. So you play, there is a main court where are some Titans, some veterans who plays there, and if there is a spot, you go there, you lose, but still it's a great experience. So how it was in Novi Sad? How many players in the World Tour you have from Novi Sad? In the top 100 players of the world.
I never counted. We have a lot. A lot compared to the other countries. But let me tell you, if there would be a world tour in from 2000 to 2010, I think we would have 90 players in top 100.
Oof.
From my personal feeling of how good the game was and how many players played. Because, for example, I'm not a guy to compare as a player to these guys who are playing World Tour now, probably. You can ask them, they will say it's not about me to say this, but at this moment I had luck to grow up in the Liman neighborhood, where I guarantee you the best game, and I cannot say in the world, but the best game in Serbia was played. There was in Belgrade also Olymp Court and Fontana. There were good games there. But here, you know, people come there like professional handball players, where they're almost every day. You know, they're professional
to play
the 3x3, 3-on-3 at that moment, not X.
Street ball.
Exactly, and they were very good because it's a different game. You know, they can play their defense with the hands
handball
like
contact.
this. Yes, but you just call the fouls and it's a defense, and you need to find a way to score. Because if you don't find a way to score, you will give up calling the fouls because the game will last for 1 hour. You know?
Yeah, whatever. It's no bonus.
So everyone needs to develop their skills, shooting from way far, shooting fadeaways, using the tricks like fake screens, slips, and stuff like this in the game. Because if you end up in a situation face to face to these guys, you just don't score. I mean, there's no way. So this is like the culture made all these players practice more and different to find the ways to score with, let's say, different foul criteria than 5-on-5 game.
So that's where it came from. I mean, exactly where it came from, because when I started watching 3x3, it was 2015 or 16, I think, when I found something on the YouTube, some broadcasting. I looked through the contact because I started to officiate and I need to check how it is, how it's going. I mean, and I look all these screens with the hands, with the knees, with elbows, with this hooking. And I said, okay, that's wrestling with the basketball. It was something like that in 2016, I think.
To be honest, when I started working with Liman, like the first science papers that I read about, like I wanted to see how to influence the game, how to practice this. I read wrestling, conditioning coaches. I'm not joking. I went online and I opened PubMed and some other websites, and I was like reading wrestling conditioning articles, like, because this is very similar to it. Not, I mean, I'm exaggerating in a way, but yes, all the time you're in some push or pull situations, some isometric contraction, and it's way different than 5-on-5. And in 5-on-5 you can always find, you know,
time to rest.
Time to rest, 1-2 seconds. Here, if you rest, you get scored like
in a second.
1/10 of the game winning amount of points. Someone scores 2 points, it's 1/10 of the game. So it's different. But yeah, so as for wrestling, it helped me a lot in how to practice. I'm not joking. Really.
Yeah, I believe you, because and you mentioned how you started to work with Liman. Can you tell the whole story? It can be long, for sure. It can be long, because I love stories. Everybody from my subscribers know how much I love stories from the beginning of the creation.
Okay, I have a bad memory in most of the things. My short-term memory is very bad, but I will try to say it correctly. So, all of the Liman guys, we knew each other from, most of them from childhood, some of them from like junior basketball age or something like this. And I knew that they were playing something, and I was watching 3x3 because of the Novi Sad guys, because also, I mean, these Novi Sad guys like Dusan or Savic, we grow up like 500 meters from each other. Exactly, like, but Dusan and me, 20 meters from each other. Damn. And like literally same building, but its building is like this. I'm here and he's here. So it's literally the same building. And we knew each other from the childhood, and we played a lot in growing up together. So I was watching 3x3 because of them, you know. Of course, I think they're responsible for everyone in Serbia watching the 3x3 actually. And
not only
about
Serbia. Yeah, not only Serbia, I can say.
Exactly. So I was watching, and at that moment I was coaching 5-on-5. I had me and my friends, we had some club, and we had young players there, you know, regular 5-on-5 basketball school, and they played some senior competition. And I took a young generation of players, born in 1996, and I started working with them when they were like 12 years old, I think, 11 or 12 years old. And I decided to go all the way with them. Like, I will coach them until age 18, 19, when they finish the youth categories. Do my best about it, literally, emotionally, physically, I give them all that I can, and see what that will end up. And when they finished, when they came to this age like 18, 19, I was thinking what is best for them to do. And they were, at that moment, when we started working, no one actually knew about them. It was not a selection, it was just a group of kids that you start working with. And when they were like 18, 19, I decided that it's best for them to go to the United States to continue practicing on a high level, because they have a very, very good basketball programs there, and also learn the language, mature. Individually, you're going to another country, you're supposed to live by yourself. And I consulted and gave my opinion to them and to the parents, and we decided to do this. And from this generation, 6 players went to United States and got full scholarships. 3 of them to the Division 1 and 3 of them to Division 2, which is something that I'm very proud of.
Which is big for the group of the
for the group of random kids.
Yeah.
It's very big. I'm not saying it's about me, of course. They were really dedicated, really, and very, very hard workers. So they came to this. I only helped them in a way. When they went to colleges, I stopped working in 5-on-5. I finished with them, and I decided to work. I had opportunities to work with a high-level tennis player, Filip Krajinovic. At that moment, he was like top 80 in the world.
Anyway,
that's he was in the Serbian Davis Cup team, champion team, and you know, I had opportunity to work with him as a strength and conditioning coach, because at the same time, while working 5-on-5 with my kids, I wanted, in the middle of this work, I wanted to provide them the best conditioning work. And I was looking around Novi Sad to find a guy, girl, whoever, expert, who will provide them with proper care in this and enough knowledge. And maybe I had high expectations, but I couldn't find a person who is, in my opinion, good enough and capable enough and dedicated enough. There were capable people, but busy.
Yeah, you need to have the mind on the kids.
So I didn't have any finances, not big, to provide this, and I just couldn't find the guy. So I'm like, okay, so I will learn this. And I started learning for years with them about this, going for some seminars. I mean, my college is for this, but of course, in college you don't learn a lot of things for anything specifically, especially for if you want to be an expert in some field. And then I started working, and at parallel, Filip was practicing in Novi Sad, and at one moment he invited me to work with him. I stopped working 5-on-5 coaching, and I went with him to the world tour. In the summers, players from United States come back home. They have 2 months break, come back home and drink, chase girls, but also
play basketball,
practice and stuff. And whenever I was there, they called me for individual work and stuff like this. My players who were in the States. And there was a tournament, 3x3 tournament, in Novi Sad, in the beach, Strand, they call it the most beautiful beach, and in the whole Danube. And there was a tournament there, and they're like, let's play.
Just for fun.
From
just
these
for
6
fun.
guys, 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, let's play this, you know, why not? It's a small fee, like, I don't know, like 50 euros you pay to get in, and then you play. And I'm like, of course, why not? And we used to play in our practices back, like, before they left to the United States, we used to play 3x3 with the 3x3 rules, because I liked it.
I mean, that hard contact and everything else.
Yeah, I like this, and I also like, it's another story. I also wrote a paper about why I think 3x3 is better for development of young players than 5-on-5. It's another story, but I think it is. Because in 3x3, you need to make a lot of decisions. You're a big part of the game. In 5-on-5, it can happen that in the game, you're not a part of the game at all. You're in the defense, you're a weak side defender of some stationary corner guy, and in transition, he's not running as fast, so you're not practicing defensive transition. And in offense, most of the time, it's one guy making decision with the ball.
Yeah, mostly.
And you're supposed to make very simple decisions in positioning, spacing, and timing for cuts or something. Here, you are all the time committed. And in 12-second shot clock, doesn't matter in defense or offense, you need to make a lot of good decisions to read the situations. And I liked it. So I used it in practice. So they knew the rules. It's not like they came there for the first time with these rules. They knew the rules. Anyway, they come to this tournament, and with some luck, of course, in the finals, they win against Liman.
Damn.
Yeah, it was 2017.
2017 is the first year Liman went to the World Tour Finals, I think.
Yes, they won 2 Masters. They won Mexico and Debrecen Masters in this year. And in this summer, when they won Debrecen Masters, actually it was like 2 weeks before this, my guys beat them in the finals of this tournament. I'm saying, of course, with some luck, doesn't matter, but
win is the win.
Come to the court and try to win against these teams. So, you know, it takes more than luck. And this was the first interaction where we started talking a little bit about, because I used some fake screens at this moment. Liman was switching, unorganized switching in defense. We punished this with some slip, like fake screens, movements and stuff like this, and it was very simple. I mean, basketball is very simple. Liman also now plays very simple. But we started talking a little bit about this, but like I said, I was working in tennis in this moment, and I finished with Philip in this year, September. I started working in this soccer club, and in the winter of 2017, after their season finished, they lost in quarterfinals of World Tour Finals, if I remember.
They were 6. I think they were 6.
Yeah.
And next year they were 5th. I just checked before.
Yeah, I don't like this ranking according to the points scored. I don't like this.
Why?
Generally, because it's not about scoring. I mean, why rank with the number of points scored? Why not rank with the least points received?
Just because of the show, just to motivate the players to score more. That's I think that's.
But it brings to a lot of situations in the games where both teams are not playing defense and trying to score.
Yeah, for the fans, for the spectators.
But no, not playing defense.
I know, I heard.
It's not for the spectators, in my opinion. For the spectators is if you score against an organized defense. This is for the spectators.
But it's the same with the fouls. When it's 6 fouls, most of the team stops, play their normal defense, and they just let in.
This is their problem. This is their biggest problem. This is when you need to start playing more aggressive.
Yeah.
This is how Novi Sad played for years and abused the whole world, like, I mean, in a positive way, won a lot of things by playing the same or even harder after the 6th foul.
Because there's nobody wants to give them 7,
Exactly.
8, 9.
Or they want to do it once or twice, but they don't want to give 5 times like this. And the referees will say, no, we have the strict criteria. I mean, the World Tour level referees. But everyone have eyes and can see if it's true or not. We don't need to talk about it. Anyway, sorry, I went to the side a little bit. In the winter, after this World Tour Finals, I don't remember exactly how, but I ended up having a coffee with Radkov and Stefan STOJACIC. And they asked me if I would like to help them in a way to try to be on a higher level. And I was like, okay, but I have a job, the soccer thing, a very good job. I mean, I love this. This is my passion. I want to help you, but this is my priority, this job.
Don't quit your day job. That's the quote from for every grown man. Like, don't quit your day. Don't quit your day job.
Yeah, it's a long story, but you know, it's tempting. It's tempting. And I said, this is my, and they're like, yeah, of course, your priority. We will make the practice times opposite from the there. And by the way, my work was 1.5 hour drive one way from Novi Sad and 1.5 way back every day. And they're like, yeah, we will make this. And they're also like, but we don't have any money. I'm like, okay, you know, we start working, doesn't matter, we'll make money.
Just for fun?
No, not for fun. Not for fun. We'll make money.
Okay.
If we're good, we'll make money. If we're not, we don't deserve money. I mean, simple. Anyway, I don't like to be paid just for nothing. It's always good to have some motivation in prize money or bonus money or something like this. This is better for a man's motivation. And we started in January 2018. Actually, officially it started.
So all their results before, it wasn't about you. It was just about them.
Yeah, exactly.
So 2018, and correct me if I'm wrong. There was five guys in the roster at that moment, something like that. Stefan, Radkov, Kojic, Kovacic and Kovacevic. No,
Kovacevic. We took Max in 2019 before going to China officially, but he played one tournament. He played Chengdu Masters in 2018 because like 3 days before going to tournament, Kojic tweaked his back and couldn't go. And we took him without a single practice with us, Max, to play one tournament. So his debut is Masters. In 3x3, he never played it before. He went with us to, luckily it was not a very strong tournament, but we beat Riga in the finals, so it's not bad tournament.
At that moment there were European champions already, I think, 2017.
Exactly. Yeah. But for me, these European championships and world championships are weaker than most of the challenger tournaments, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't take a lot to win a Europe Cup or World Cup.
Sometimes you mean it's not the best plays, I mean the best, not the best national teams plays at the World Cup.
No. Also this, but also the quality of the tournament. If you look at the teams who played some Masters tournament and look at the teams who play World Cup rosters and teams, I think it's uncomparable.
But about those guys, I mean, these 4 guys that you started to work with.
5 actually. There was Marko Brankovic from UB.
So now he's playing UB.
He is playing in UB now. He was LIMAN, and he actually won. He won the Mexico Masters with LIMAN.
So you have these 5 guys, and what kind of chemistry inside? I mean, here when I started to making videos, I had some stupid and very short formula that you need alpha plus. I mean, as a character in the team.
Okay.
You need alpha plus with alpha minus, B and D. D is the guy who's in charge for all the dirty work. B is the guy who's not that good to be a leader, but still a very good basketball player. I mean, even mentally, he's not the leader. Alpha minus is the guy who's similar to Alpha plus, but not the not mentally leader of the team. And Alpha plus is doing all the stuff. I mean, he's making the final shots, all the pressure, and I don't know, lead his team. I mean, the leader.
Yeah, I understand. But this is, in my opinion, this is too much psychology. Like going too deep into something like this. You have what you have. Always, you have what you have, and you need to find a way so that it works. In this moment, it was a very, very strange situation, because Vasic was studying in the United States. He was not with us.
During the September-May time.
Exactly. So it was very, very strange. He doesn't practice. I sent him like online. I draw some playbooks and stuff like this. I cut videos. I send this to him. He didn't practice a single practice with us before the season. He went straight from the United States for, if I remember correctly, Vushi Challenger was the first of the season 2018. He went straight from the United States there, and we were practicing in Novi Sad. So it was very, very, very strange, you know, like trying to explain, because we changed a lot of things in the game.
After you start to work with them?
Yeah, not a lot, but the principles were very strict and simple, but it was demanding, especially in defense. We were switching all, but with some rules that are very hard physically to do, and this actually allows you to switch without consequences, especially in the times of pushing screens. You know, when you try to switch and the guy just extends the arms and
that's
pushes.
a mess, yeah.
Exactly. So we had a very big demand on the guy whose guy is going to the screen to stay with him very close with his body and pushes him a little bit. And it was very demanding. And trying to explain this to Vasic online and his ability to actually do it without practice when goes there, heads down.
But he played United States basketball, or just studied?
Yeah, he played college basketball. He finished the college there. Yeah, he played there for 5 years or 6, 5. I think prep school 1 and 4 years of college. I think, and he played very good. Vasic was very, very. Actually, he was a guard, point guard.
But in 3x3, it's different.
Because he's amazing in body positioning and.
He's an animal. He's an animal. Like that's what I can saw on I can see.
There are many animals, you know, but not a lot of animals can do these things. It takes the feeling. It takes, and he's a winner. You know, we play whatever we play, he goes all the way, like to win, to cheat a little bit, but it takes this.
Yeah, you need to do this, and it depends on the guys who's in charge on the court if they see it or not. I mean, that kind of movements or.
Exactly, and in this game, you will see some players when they get injured a little bit or something, they give up. He played in 2019. He played 86, I think, official games. Of course, he tweaks his ankle. Of course, like everyone. But
yeah, it's a pressure.
He just comes back there and does his things. You know, he doesn't talk like it hurts or something. It takes. This is what it takes for this game.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's mentally because you played a very good couple of seasons with that roster, and then STOJACIC got injured. I mean, he got injured first of all hard, and then it was second time he injured. Yeah, so.
Yeah, when he injured first, it was actually in China. When we came to China in the preparation period before the season, he tore his calf muscle.
That's
painful. Like a very, you know, the sound in the practice of this was amazing, like a whip, like. Everyone heard the sound actually, and it was a big tear. After this, he never actually came back to his prime.
Yeah, to be a first, second player in the world. I mean,
no, but this is, to be first, second player in the world, it's not about your quality of the game. It's about, come on, in the game where
it's about the number of players, tournaments actually, you visited.
For me, while he was playing, he was the most dominant player when he was playing. But it takes a lot more than this that someone will write a world ranking #1 for you. Why? Because there is a subjective note to ranking players. At every tournament, there is some points called highlights. You get some ranking points according to highlights.
Yeah, if you play simple, there is no highlights. It's just a result.
Of course. So, to say that someone is ranked #1 in the world, for me, doesn't mean anything. Oh, not anything, sorry. I mean, of course.
It's not that big as you see it.
But it doesn't mean that you're best player in the world. It's far from this. Vasic was never ranked #1 in the world.
No, never.
So, come on. And he played amazing tournaments. And he just never got the MVP. He got the MVP of once. And it was last season, I think. He never got the MVP because he scores one-pointers inside. He makes fouls when it's necessary. He makes hard fouls. No one else in my team makes hard fouls. Vasic makes hard fouls. Hard fouls, you need them. It lifts your spirit. It hurts the hand of the shooter.
It just breaks the spirit of the
Exactly. So no one puts this in the highlights.
Highlights of my heart.
Yeah, it's highlights of my heart, and it's, these things are not ranked. And so, for example, what you said about Stefan, when he was healthy, he was the most dominant player. And him getting injured is something that changed the way I coach, because I had to find the ways to score without any one-on-one game.
But that's a very big problem on 3x3.
For 3 years we play without one-on-one game.
Only I checked it because every highlight, I mean the great ending, the pressure ending includes the final game in Utsunomiya, Liman against Humpolek.
Quarterfinals.
When Stefan scored it twice, when it was 2017.
One more basket will give them the game. Andre kicks out. Romana for the winner. They need a 2 right here. Screen for the 2. Yes! What a big shot right there. They've got to tighten up. Both teams need to tighten up. Romana got it. Oh, referee doesn't call anything. What's gonna be? Over 10 seconds. Mr. Robot! Yes! Mr. Robot wins the game for Liman! Mr. Robot! What a shot!
Exactly.
Yeah, so it was a clutch.
2017 is not even a problem. I think it was 20 or 19 to 13 or something like this.
You mean before 20?
Before this. This is even bigger problem. But also we lost these kind of games to Riga two times. Almost 3 times. In the Perm Quest, we almost lost the game.
But for me, after these 2 seasons without Stefan, with trying to find a guy who will score. When the team plays stops because of the opponent's defense, I mean there is no combinations or something. You cannot do it.
Yeah, you need to improvise.
You need to improvise. When there is no player like this, your team just stops. And every time I have some conversation with the guys, I said you need at least 2 players who can create the shot for themselves. Not every time. First, of course, you need to play some screens, some all that stuff. But in the end, like in every league, you need a star who can shoot some mid range after a step back, so you can score in tight game.
I agree with you, but when you don't have, you need to find a way to get the shots.
And tell me the way that you find without Stefan.
Kojic had to change his role. He never used to play pick and roll before in his life.
He'd been in spot-up shooter.
He was in 5-on-5 game. He was a solid level 5-on-5 player, like position 3, you know, spot-up shooter, literally. And I must say that his ability to learn this in a fast time was what actually saved us. Of course, he wouldn't be able to do anything if there was no Radkov with his ability to learn the positioning, the quality of the screens, his work ethic. You know, there's a funny story about Radkov. I always tell them, there's a problem in this community of 3x3 that no one wants to speak to coaches. You know, it's this FIBA's interesting mentality of no coaching or something, and then they also don't want to talk to coaches, because what do coaches know? Yeah. But I understand them in a way, because there's so many fake coaches. This game brought, you know, anyone can be a coach. Make a photo in the Instagram and you're a coach with some team, literally. But to come back, what I wanted to say is a funny story about Radko. In 2018, we all had our jobs. I had my job in the soccer. Radkov was in the IT. He was a web developer. Stefan STOJACIC was at the university. He was assistant, giving some...
Assistant.
We call it assistant. No. In the university, like you have the professor and the assistant of the professor.
Yeah,
he was this. And we all had our jobs. And since my first college was mathematics college for web development before sports, I finished this. And all my generations and my colleagues are working as web developers or some IT experts. And one of the guys was actually working with Radkov in his company. Every day they were working together. And one day, we were practicing like this since Radkov is working from 9 to 5.
No, normal day.
We practice at 7 a.m.
Like a pro.
We practice at 7 a.m. And then he finishes his job. And then we practice in the afternoon sometime. So I do this, I go to Topola for work in soccer, Stefan to the university, Radko to this. And then in the afternoon, he comes back. And one afternoon, I show him the spin move, some kind of spin move, when the guy is pushing you from, I think I showed it also in the intensive, when you feel a little push on your back from the guy, and the front pivot spin move. And he was doing it, but he wasn't making the enough contact as necessary with this hand. You need to hit this guy for this to work a lot. And then I started exaggerating it to him, you know, like, hit me, you need to hit me. And his mentality is like, whatever you tell him, he will just try doing, think about it, repeat, every time. And we did this in the afternoon, and I even forget that we did this. I do my things, and tomorrow at some moment, like at noon, my ex-colleague from the college, he texts me like cursing, you know, like, are you crazy? Like, why did you tell him this? And I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, well, what's happening? I don't know. Like, Radkov, he told me in the middle of the working day, get up, I want to try something. He's like, he gets up from the computer and Radkov's like, bam, like, trying the spin move on him, you know, in the IT company, and like crushing him. Like, he's like, why did you tell him this? You know? Next time, tell him to try massage or something. You know? So it's a funny story, but tells about his mentality, you know. He just always tries to, and he's the brain of this team on the court. He's the guy that when I want something to happen on the tournament and I'm not there, I tell him, like, pay attention to this, think about this, and the story tells just about his working habits and working mentality.
So even working with the team, you're not, as you said, not traveling a lot with them. Only when it's
in 2019, when we had actually some money, I traveled to all tournaments.
Oh, okay.
When we were in China, but other than that, we never had any budget for this, and I traveled mostly just for some close tournaments in Europe, like Debrecen, Lausanne, Prague, stuff like this. I mean, tournaments like this. I went to Cyprus. There was a nice satellite.
LIMASSOL, yeah.
Very nice tournament. Our most favorite memory, because we played without Stefan STOJACIC.
Did you win there?
We won. Yeah. No, we lost in finals, but we won the ticket to Masters. This is
you mean LIMASSOL Challenger? Yeah,
LIMASSOL Challenger, but satellite. We won the satellite.
You won the satellite and went to the Challenger.
And it was very, very good experience for us because the satellite tournament we played without Stefan STOJACIC. He was in the World Cup Manila with the national team.
Yeah.
And we played with our very dear friend Ognjen Kužeta. Hi to him if he ever looks at this. And it was very, very hard to play because it was so
40,
windy.
Plus 42,
Yeah,
I think
but so windy. Like, I've never been to I played a lot of streetball tournaments when I was a player. I never played in such a windy conditions. You shoot from 3-point line and you just, sometimes it will go like 3 meters from the rim this way.
It's a brick.
Or not a brick, this is like a brick house. You know? It's a terrible miss. And we had to find a way to win there because there were some teams and players from France, pro division, like A or first or second league, like centers who post you up, you know, like with 2 dribbles, they just score. So we had to it was very interesting for me as a coach to try to find a way to win this. And in the end, we won. We used, this is when I actually developed the repeated, quickly repeated screens.
I mean,
like,
bam bam.
When they're switching.
This side
just,
and this side,
yeah,
and then roll.
No, in there we didn't even roll. There we repeated 3 or 4 times until we come to the layup.
Okay.
Because they're switching and moving down, and we just repeat this. And then we also helped in defense in a way, fake help or stuff like this, and we managed to win. Finals was easy game of this satellite, but quarterfinals and semifinals against these guys like 210 in the windy conditions, and we're like, you know, Kojic, skinny guy, skilled but skinny guy. Ratkov also 95 kilos. Okay, Vasic, but these guys are beasts, you know. And we managed to win something. This was a very good experience for us.
Just tell me, I'm interested in one thing. A daily routine at the World Tour for the Lehman team. I mean, you arrive at the city where competition will take place. So starting from this until you leave the competition.
Sleep a lot.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. This is the main recipe. I have a strange philosophy, or maybe not strange, but for most of the people it's strange. I worked with a couple of great coaches in different sports, and I read a lot and studied a lot, and in the end, the coaching, what it ends up with, your job is to make the players feel the best that they can feel in the moment when they go to the court. That this is actually everything that's necessary, because when they feel the best, they will make best decisions, they will score the most because they feel the confidence, they feel good physically, emotionally, psychologically. Your team will perform the best. And it's all about this. I'm not the guy who is strict.
With the schedule, you mean?
With anything. It has to be like this. Nothing has to be. All the players are different personalities. All the players in the world, all people in the world are different personalities. Most of them, they know what's best for them to feel good in this moment. Maybe in the long term it's not the best choice. Usually it's not. But as this sport is still not even close to the professional level in terms of player quality, coach quality, practice conditions,
facilities, medicine,
everything,
physiotherapy.
I decided when we started working that I will not take from them what they enjoy in. And as for these schedules, it's a deal. If they want to sleep a lot, we don't have a practice there at all. If they don't want to sleep, we can have a practice. If they feel that they should do this, We will discuss. There are some things that I force, but those are very, very little things. And I think big part of our success is that players having the individuality, freedom to make decisions regarding on-court things and outside the court. Yes, we have the principles. We will position ourselves there. In this moment, you will go to make the screen. But what you will do after this, it's
up on
your quality. And the players gain confidence from this. You know, I think it's, especially in the man's life, I think most important thing is confidence. And sometimes even faking confidence will give you a good outcome in life.
Fake until you make it.
It sounds stupid, but it's not so stupid. I mean, there are too many factors deciding what will happen in life, and especially in sports. Too many factors influence success. So, as for the daily schedule, it's always different.
So it's not.
But they like to sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
Vasic and Kojic, their roommates, they like to sleep.
Especially when you travel to other side of the.
Especially with the jet lag, yeah. But even when it's close to Serbia, Europe, and when it's
from
in
Novi Sad
Serbia,
to Belgrade. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is nothing spectacular that someone will learn from this, but maybe just this approach, because I think this is important. There are a lot of coaches too strict. It has to be done this way. When you know, a player needs just a little spark, a little seed of negative energy.
Just to grow during the game or something.
No. I mean, like, if you give them, I don't know, there's a player who, for example, who likes to sleep, and you tell him, you must be at the breakfast at 8. This is a seed of negative energy inside him. Yes, he will come to this breakfast, but this seed only needs something else to happen to grow into more negative energy, to affect his performance, to affect his confidence, to affect his trust in you, to affect his thinking how you trust him. I just don't play with these things. I like that everyone feel good, feel the best, and then build our trust and relationship upon that.
I want to ask you one thing. That's a very long question, so you can fill your cup.
Yes, of course. This tea is amazing.
Take your time, yeah. Final game against Riga.
Do you have a bottle of whiskey, maybe? Vasic didn't speak for like 4 hours. So it's not good that I say it in public. We didn't have a single team practice. Everyone involved in 3x3 community knows how big disappointment this is. Everyone, especially in Serbia. All the players that took part, all the coaches. But whenever they speak about it, it's a success, you know. And the federation also, oh, it's a success.